Hi, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine. Your host, Avi Meyer, and the greatest cameraman of all, Sonny Hersh.
Avi Meyers, Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine, and it's money time. Not for me. I don't get any money from this. Matter of fact, it costs myself and my co-producer, Sonny Hersh, a little bit of money to do the show, but we do it as a public service because we want this to be a good community. We want it to be a great community. And thanks so much for joining us. And one of the things that's made this community such a good community is the only honest person running for alderman in the coming election Tuesday, and we hope you'll vote for him. And and we're talking about our present alderman and my favorite alderman, Alderman Berny Stone. How are you?
Thank you very much, Avi. I'm fine, and thank you for those kind words. And one of the reasons it's a great community is the people who live and work here, and the people who give so much to this community, like you and Sonny.
Well, we enjoy it, and the fact of the matter is that even though a lot of people can't say anything because they have roles in the community, working for nonprofit organizations or all the rest, but it's virtually unanimous among almost the leadership in the community that they want you.
Well, I thank you.
And we're more than happy. I mean, the fact is, the lies being told by that other person is just, it makes me, I can't deal with it. I mean, all her literature is just so pointed. She didn't fix no 24-hour anything. She's trying to make this sound like a crime community. She's turning on her husband's own people, the cops, saying what a horrible community this is supposed to be.
She's endorsed by the Federation of Police.
Well, that's because of her husband. But the fact of the matter is,
and then she thinks a good shoot by a police officer doing his job and shooting a criminal with a gun pointed at him. She thinks that's an indication of crime on the van. If she thinks that's an indication of crime on the van, I feel sorry for her. I think the police officer should get a medal. And if the police officer had been her husband, what would she say then? Would she want him to stand there and wait for the criminal to shoot him dead? I don't think so.
I don't think so either, but, she's pretty much proven that, well, let's put it this way. I sincerely feel that she's probably, I don't know if she's actually taken acting classes, but she probably should, because I've seen better liars.
Well, first of all, what really bothers me more than anything else is she is very divisive. Last week, which will be a couple of weeks by the time this airs, she appeared before an entirely non-Asian audience and told them how bad Devon was. And of course, to a non-Asian audience, maybe Devon does appear bad, but Devon is one of the most vibrant, most active business streets in the city of Chicago. Maybe not to a non-Asian audience, but to an Asians, it's one of the most vibrant streets that could be. It's certainly the backbone of our economy. Do you have any idea what the square foot of property sells for on Devon? Recently, a 25 by 125 foot lot on Devon Avenue sold for $1,500,000.
Wow.
Now, property on Michigan Avenue doesn't sell for that kind of money. Frankly, you can't buy property on Devon Avenue. Devon, and that's not a single case because the hardware store on Devon sold for $1,400,000.
Wow.
So it's typical of what's occurring. Property taxes are extremely high on Devon because property is extremely valuable. Business is good on Devon. She would have you believe the business is terrible. She talks about broken sidewalks and so forth. That's not true. If she talks about empty stores, they're empty because the price of the rentals are so high. And
some of them are occasionally going to be empty, but it's not going to be a long-term thing.
No, it's not. And businesses are flourishing along Devon. We have people coming here from 4 different states to shop along Devon. Now, to a non-Asian audience, They cheered when she said that, but she's being divisive. What she's doing is she's setting one group against another group. I don't do that. I try and bring people together. I don't try and divide groups. I try and bring them together. And that's the reason, incidentally, why I captured almost the entire Asian vote when I ran in February. Because I try and bring people together, not divide people.
As a matter of fact, I'm glad you said that, because the very deluded Laura Washington, who I didn't care much for her story, she might call you Diluvian, but she's deluded, who I saw both on Chicago Tonight and this paper, talks about the change in the neighborhood. But she doesn't begin to realize that your main base of support is not just the Jewish community, it's the Indian community, the Pakistani community. You've got strength in the Assyrian community.
Well, Laura Washington, of course, used all of Harold Washington's terms, because antediluvian, all those terms were what Harold used, and actually she should have said she was stealing all Harold's lines. But in any event, Laura of course, started quoting statistics, and she was all wet. Number one, it's the same statistics that the editorial writers on the Sun-Times used, and they were all wet. Number one, we're not 50% non-white. We are maybe close to 40%.
Yeah.
I doubt very much if we are that high. And so what? Does that mean that an Asian represents the Asian community? No, I represent the Asian community. The Asian community voted for me.
That's correct.
And does that mean the hell with the Jewish community? The Jewish community still are the one largest community of all in this community. They represent over 30% of the community. So what we say, the hell with them? We don't include them? Is that what the Sun-Times is saying? That they should be ignored because they're the number one community in the area? Well, I think they're wrong. Certainly they're entitled to representation. We fought the Revolutionary War because of taxation without representation. So you think that they're not entitled to a voice? Of course they're entitled to a voice. Everybody's entitled to a voice. And I happen to be the voice of the majority in this community. And that's the reason I'm going to win, is because I am the voice of the vast majority in this community. Yeah. And I'm going to get the majority of the votes.
As a matter of fact, one of the things I noted was when we had the ceremony at Devon and Rockwell with the mayor, and the place was packed with Indians and Pakistanis. One of Brewer's top campaign people was in the crowd, and he was shocked. He expected all those people to be on his side, and they're on your side.
Well, of course they're on my side because I represent them, and most of them were businessmen along Devon, and they're the people who want the garage. And he doesn't understand that, and Brewer didn't understand it. That's the reason Brewer got 19% of the vote.
Yeah, for $264,000, that's what he bought.
Yeah, that's unfortunately, when people don't understand the people that they're trying to represent, they can't buy their votes. And Maisie can't buy their votes and can't lie her way to those votes. I'm going to get those votes, and I'm going to have a sweeping victory on April 17th.
And we're very much looking forward to that, because I want her to be a two-time loser. I want her out of politics in this area. She is not only divisive, she's not even a sincere liar. She's bad news start to finish.
Well, I don't like people talking about the community I represent like it was the black hole of Calcutta, because it's not. It's one of the best neighborhoods in the city. It has, number one, has a viable business community. Number two, it's probably has the best education system of any ward in the city. It has certainly one of the lowest crime statistics in the city. It has almost anything you can name. It has everything, with the exception, one exception that I'll name. It has a bad transportation system, and that all the candidates in February agreed to that, including me. Our transportation is poor. And unfortunately, aldermen have very little to say on our public transportation system. And I admit to that. I admit our public transportation system is poor. We've struggled, we've fought. We had the 11 bus line extended, but and we've had failures.
You also got the California bus extended.
Well, we had failures on that too. We lost our weekend service on the Lunt bus. We lost the Sunday service in California. You know, I hate to say this, but as many successes as we've had on transportation, that we've had losses too. But you know, at least I admit my losses. I admit my failures. I try to correct them. But that's the facts, and I'm willing to stand up and admit the facts. But at least I understand it. Now she talks about our economics. She's talking about the loss of Dominick's on Ridge. What she doesn't know is I have 3 different food chains standing in line waiting to take it over. Now, the number one who's bid the highest is Michael's Foods from Naperville. And they're an outstanding food chain waiting to come in and has the highest bid. Second in line is a growing food chain from southern Wisconsin, headed by the former executive vice president of Dominick's.
Oh, I've read about them, yeah.
You remember that nice Italian boy that used to be their vice president under Mr. Dominick? He heads up this chain in southern Wisconsin, and they're also bidding on the Ridge site. I forgot who the third food chain is. But then you have other people bidding on it who want to make it into condominiums, which I say no. Another Sister
Rosemary Conley?
Sister Rosemary would like to build on it for Misericordia, but I don't know if they have sufficient funds. But you know, you have losses. But then you seek to make replacements. I haven't been sitting still. We knew this was going to happen. Anybody who's ever shopped at Dominick's on Ridge knew it was going to happen. I used to shop there, and I used to run up and down the aisles and never saw anybody that I had to worry about.
It was always a ghost town. Actually,
yeah.
I hate to admit it, but I kind of liked it from the standpoint that I have to wait in line.
Yeah, it was easy to shop in. It was easy to check out because there was nobody they had to worry about.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, if Michaels ends up with it, you're going to be waiting in line because they're outstanding. I saw a article on them in one of the food magazines, and they're in particular their fruits and vegetables are outstanding.
Oh, that'll be good. That'll be
you
good.
Remember how Dominick's used to be their fruits and vegetables used to be one of their specialties. Well, Michaels is like that, and the head of the store is a 32-year-old aggressive young man, and you're going to see something. This is going to be a big change. Very clean operation. They're in Naperville. They're in Elmhurst. They're from the western suburbs.
Yeah. What at this point? We should point out you've got Mayor Daley's strong support.
I do, and I've received help from the mayor, and I would hope that the mayor is going to be out here. I hope for a rally of the troops, and in particular for the Indian and Pakistani rally on April 7th. This will probably air.
Right, this will air just a few days afterwards, right?
But we'll have a large rally at that time, and as you know the support I have in those communities. So
it's very strong. I mean, the things you've done recently, like the special service area on Devon that you helped create, the business association and the businesses want it,
and the tax increment financing district along Western and Toohey. I think I appointed you as a commissioner.
I am. Yes, thank you. It's a non-paying job, by the way.
I appointed you to the advisory committee.
As a matter of fact, I'll give you credit because, as a matter of fact, the number of people from I call them the mean organization.
Yeah, the West Rogers Park group. Well, listen, they volunteered, and I think that everybody who lives near the site should have an opportunity to serve on the advisory. And as I indicated, I will not have a influence upon the advisory committee. I want you guys to do it on your own. I don't want it to be politically influenced.
Let's also, let's also talk. One thing I keep forgetting because this is CAN TV. You're the biggest hero with CAN TV.
Yeah,
I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that you went to bat for him, CAN TV might have closed down already.
Well, these are things that you do because they're right, just like Thillins. We went to save Thillins, and we did. We went to save CAN, and we did. These are things that I do because they're right.
Yeah, you were the only one in City Council standing up for us, and they took your lead and they followed it, which was terrific.
Well, because they knew it was right.
Yeah.
And Thillins, with the support of Terry O'Brien, the president of the Water Reclamation District, we were able to strike a really great deal to save Thillins from closing. And kids all over the city and suburbs will benefit from that. These are things that you do. Now, one of the things that came from that Thillins deal that people don't realize is I became one of the great benefactors of the Chicago Park District. It ended up that between the Thillins and the Armory deal and a couple other deals, I've added something like 30-plus acres of parkland to the city.
And one of the reasons why people like the North Boundary Homeowners League like you so much is that you stopped a car dealership from coming in on some of that land, and you made it a passive park.
That's right. And, well, these are, again, things that you do because they're right. You don't have to toot your own horn. You just do it because they're right.
Yeah, well, I'll tweet it a little bit now. It's before the election, and I want to make sure that listen, anybody who's interested in the facts, hopefully it'll be a nice landslide. I hope so, but I want to remind everybody to vote. And I'd say vote. I'm not even going to go the early and often thing, and at this point you can't vote early anymore.
Oh, yes, you can.
No, you can vote early, but by the time
starting March 26th all the way through April. Well, this show probably will air after the last day for early voting.
Right, yeah, that's the only unfortunate thing. But, yeah.
But you can vote early, and not often, but you can vote early. And
one to a customer, but you've got a lot of good customers here, and I actually, I wouldn't be surprised.
I want you to know something else. I want you to know that in the Jewish community, we had a special class for registrars, and they went out and they registered something like 300 people on one weekend. So that was fantastic.
I think that's super, and those votes should be for you. I also understand that a number of Indians and Pakistanis.
Yes, they've been registering voters also,
which I think is terrific. And I'd be remiss if I didn't. You know what? You didn't want any part of this publicity-wise, but you know what? I have to say at least once on the air, because I didn't say it during the segment with Jim Nally last week when I really should have, is that transparent stunt that she pulled looking for publicity with the anti-Semitic graffiti.
Don't want to even talk about it.
Okay, yeah, that's the.
I don't think it has anything to do with the election. I don't want to discuss it.
You got it.
I wouldn't give them publicity by discussing it. That's the reason we painted it over. It has nothing to do with the election, and I'm not going to give any anti-Semite any publicity.
Now let's talk about the fact you've got the TUI TIF, which is it'll wind up doing a little more than the school. I would imagine it's also going to help the business districts around TUI and Western.
Oh yes, I'm still talking to Walgreens. I'm talking to Walgreens about their new program with the medical clinic along with the Walgreens drugstore, and we're still hoping for that. Haven't got the exact location yet, but we're still working on it.
No, that'll be nice. And the fact of the matter is, from what I can see too, Tui's never been the kind of commercial strip divanist. You can't compare the two. It's a different.
You see, she talks about developing these like a street like Tui, and wants them. The people who live near Tui don't necessarily want Devon Avenue on Tui. That's something she doesn't understand.
Yeah, there's a lot of people with condos and houses and 2 flats that are right on Tui over there.
And they don't necessarily want another big shopping strip backing up to their property. And you see, you've got to understand that. She also, when I mentioned previously the talk about Devon Avenue, she talks about putting a Starbucks and some of these other hippie things on Devon Avenue. Well, the people along Devon Avenue don't necessarily want a Starbucks.
Yeah, I don't want to pay $3.50 for a cup of coffee. Well, I mean, my can of Maxwell House, didn't cost much more than that.
Nor do the Asians who shop there want a Starbucks on Devon Avenue. See,
we're one of the few places where a McDonald's didn't work very well on Devon Avenue because she
doesn't understand that. She doesn't understand. She was born in the Philippines.
Your microphone, I'll get it. Speak into mine in the meantime. Here we go.
She was born in the Philippines, but she doesn't understand the people to whom she was born with. And unfortunately...
Rich Miller pointed out, too, because in the beginning she was talking about how for 30 years... that she was in the community, and then he pointed out, well, it's kind of difficult when you go to high school in Panama City. That's the Sun-Times columnist and Capital Facts guy, who I'm not that crazy about, but at least he pointed out correctly that her story was more horse feathers.
Well, I'm not. I as I told you earlier, my job was to sell myself, not to knock her down. But when she talks silliness, I've got to address it. And most of the stuff she's talked, she hasn't talked specifics. She's talked generalization. When you talk about debates, I want a debate, but I want a debate that's a debate, not a debate where speechwriters write her answers and speechwriters write my answers and we read answers. I want a debate where we debate with each other. Where somebody in the audience asks you a question that you haven't had, where the answer hasn't been written for you. That's not the rules that they wanted to go by. That will be the rules that we will debate on April 12th. We'll debate where we stand up before a live audience and answer questions that the live audience gives to us, not questions that are canned and that we've had in advance. And that's the kind of debate I want. What I really prefer is where the candidates could ask each other questions, but that they won't go along with.
Oh, that figures. That figures that they wouldn't go along with that.
Now, she talks about face-to-face debate. That's a real face-to-face debate.
That's a real debate. That'd be great.
But she doesn't know a damn thing about the office of alderman, or for that matter, about the 50th ward. So she can't possibly debate me from that standpoint. But I'll take it just from the audience, and she can have her people ask me whatever questions she wants. Her people ask me, and I'll have my people ask her whatever questions I want them to ask, because she can't answer the questions. Yet I'll answer her people's questions, because I know my ward.
Yes, you do, and she sure doesn't. Well, she's really good at making up nice little fairy stories. I mean,
but she's got to answer them. She's got to answer them. But with facts and with specifics, not with these, I want the schools to be better. So how are you going to make them better? Not with, I want to bring down crime. How are you going to bring down crime? Answer how. What are you going to do about it? Answer why. What?
Well, her whole campaign is, this is terrible and I'm going to make it better. But she doesn't, well, first of all, and she's saying the things that are fine.
I don't think it's terrible.
It's not terrible.
The point.
It's not terrible at all. As a matter of fact, she finally showed up at her first CAPS meeting, but she showed up to campaign. and then talks about whatever. Nobody. I was at Sonny's CAPS meeting after that Emerson Park incident, and the fact of the matter is, first of all, none of the people at the meeting was even going to bring it up. The police were saying, doesn't anybody want to volunteer because it was on the news? The people don't realize what a minor incident. First of all, there's no such thing as a good crime. But that was a minor incident. It wasn't the big deal that they wanted to make it out to be. And frankly, that also seemed like some kind of stunt she was pulling, because those people were...
Who was pulling the stunt?
Your opponent.
Did the gentleman appear?
Well, as a matter of fact, you know what? People don't... One thing people don't realize is that originally she called a press conference and she wanted to publicize it, and she was together with those two people. Now, how they got a hold of her when they supposedly live in Skokie is a little beyond me.
Did he appear at the CAPS meeting?
No.
Oh, of course not. He didn't show up. As a matter of fact, he didn't show up one bit. I mean, maybe they would have found the rap sheet on him or something.
Why was she there?
Well, I think she was trying to recruit people after the meeting, but we don't let people politicize themselves at CAPS meetings.
Yeah, but he didn't appear.
Oh, he didn't show up? Of course not.
He showed up at my meeting, but he refused to go before the cameras.
And by the way...
And then he went downstairs and met with Nazy.
Now, if you read the story, I know you read the story in the paper, but when I read that stupid story...
Well, I met with him,
I saw that. I saw him in the office. Why is it that he let his wife go into the fight while he stood there for a few minutes waiting, and then waited in afterwards? I don't understand that. Not only that, there weren't 40 people beating on anybody. A lot of the reporters couldn't even get their fit. Commander Ratner was very clear in saying that there were 4 people actually doing whatever. But why, it says that he was at the park 3 or 4 times. Then he calls for all this extra protection and cameras and all the rest of it. If he was at the park 3 or 4 times and it was a bad park, why was he back there? And doesn't Skokie have enough nice parks that he could find a park in Skokie that's closer to home?
He was going to visit some of his old friends.
Well,
he observed the offenders beating on this girl.
Well, a lot of his old friends still live there.
Well, that's what he says.
Yeah.
Of course, he also said that he left Chicago to get to better schools in Skokie. When Commander Ratner told me he left Chicago because he was evicted from his apartment. And it was in East Rogers Park because they were going to Haight School, not to any of the schools in my area. And none of the offenders, incidentally, were from the 50th Ward. And the facts are that when it first happened, he said he was hit in the head, I believe, 5 times. Then on the first report, he said 20 times. And then by the time he got to me, it was 40 times. So the reports were very unclear. I think the reporters might have embellished the story a little bit.
I think they embellished the story a lot.
A little bit. And then it became 40 times he was hit in the head, and there was 40 people involved. And actually 5 were arrested, 4 were minors, 1 was adult, and they weren't arrested on the site. He accused the police of not responding.
He also refused medical treatment on the site?
Yes, he did. In addition to which, he said the police did not respond, and yet he indicated that the police were there, and he said Commander Ratner indicated that the first car there made a U-turn because it was headed in the wrong direction, but he, in the meantime, left the scene. And then when he returned, he refused medical attention. So I don't know
she refused medical attention too.
I don't know how he knows that the first car left the scene if he was gone from the scene. And when the offenders were seized, they were seized at a park about 6 blocks away in the 49th Ward. So I thought it was pretty good police work myself.
Well, nazylies.com, what can I tell you? And lies, and more lies. And at this point, I want to thank you very much. I want to urge all of you to vote for Alderman Bernard Stone come Election Day.
Thank you.
Thanks to my entire crew, Sonny Hersh. And thank you so much, and we look forward to at least a dozen more years or more of having you as our alderman.
Thank you very much.